Pirate Software has discouraged his audience from supporting Stop Killing Games. As someone who has experience working in the game industry, I've worked at Treyarch during development of Black Ops 4. Currently, I solo develop and self-publish my own indie games such as Nexus Defenders and Beware Tomorrow. I'm explaining why his arguments fall apart and why attacking him personally actually hurts the cause. I'm going to briefly explain what Stop Killing Games is, but if you already know, then you can skip ahead with the timestamps. Stop Killing Games was founded by Ross Scott, also known as Accursed Farms, last year in 2024. What encouraged him to start this initiative was when Ubisoft pulled the plug on the crew from storefronts and they shut down the servers, making it unplayable even for those who paid for it. The goal of this initiative is not to require publishers or developers to support their games for all eternity. The goal is to ensure that if a game needs servers to function and the publisher shuts them down, there must be an official way for players to continue running the game themselves. It's to legally require publishers to provide an offline alternative or tools for fans to run servers when they shut down the game. So to be clear, it is not demanding eternal support for a game. It is setting up a plan for the customers to be able to play the game after the publishers or developers pull the plug on it. Most of you have probably never heard this game before, but back in the 2010s, I spent a lot of time playing Super Monday Night Combat. This is online-only MOBA with third-person shooter controls with a very loyal fan base. The community asked for mod support and private servers for years. The fans wanted a way to contribute to make more content for the game. The devs promised, but they never delivered. Eventually, they pivoted their resources towards working on Planetary Annihilation, and then they shut down Super Monday Night Combat. The game was delisted, the servers were pulled, and they cited GDPR compliance costs. GDPR compliance basically allows us to tell those who collect data on us to tell them we either want to see what data they collected on us or an option to allow us to delete all that data. Now the game is gone, you can't play it even if you paid money. There is a fan-made server that exists, but it's unsupported. It's hard to find instructions on how to get this to work, and it's legally gray. And as a result, no one can play the official version of the game anymore. If Stop Killing Games were a law at that point, then the devs would have to provide us one of the following: mod tools, offline builds, or some method to allow us to set up our own servers. The game would still exist in a playable fashion. The community can preserve the game legally. This is exactly what Stop Killing Games is supposed to prevent, and this is why I can't stay silent when my fellow developers are trying to stop it. When most customers buy a video game, they're ignorant about what they actually own, and they assume that they own the game. You don't actually own digital games, you just own a license to play it. And the problem is that publishers can alter or take away that license at any point without any consequences. Stop Killing Games is about consumer rights so that we don't get taken advantage of by the corporations. Stop Killing Games launched an ECI, which is a European Citizens Initiative. This is basically a tool for proposing laws. When the initiative hits 1 million signatures from citizens of the EU across 7 different EU states, then lawmakers are forced to discuss this to consider legislation. This is legally binding. It's not like a change.org petition in which nothing happens afterwards. Once that 1 million signatures is reached, then the lawmakers have to talk about this. And this is similar to how GDPR was created to protect data rights. Most of you already know who Pirate Software is. Jason Hall, aka Thor, but for those of you who know who I am without knowing who he is a game developer. He formerly worked at Blizzard. He started there at 16 years old doing QA. Apparently his father helped him get a job there because his father also worked at Blizzard. He worked his way up to eventually do cybersecurity for Blizzard while he was there the 6 or 7 years. He eventually started his own thing called Pirate Software and released a game, Heartbound, and he live streamed the development of it on Twitch, in which he gained a large audience. A lot of people were very motivated by him due to the fact that he encouraged people to get into game development and to try, and said very positive things and had positive messages. He won a Streamer Award in 2023, and because of that, Twitch now has a game dev category. Jason's attitude towards the Stop Killing game has been extremely negative. Whether he is being malicious and he's lying, or he's completely ignorant and doesn't understand the initiative. He has discouraged people from supporting the initiative. Here's an example of the kind of attitude he's been sharing on his live streams.
The moment you have the government step in and try to regulate, it's going to be awful. If you think the government can manage anything, you haven't been around long enough. Legitimately. That is a terrifying prospect. Letting the government get into video games is a terrible idea. Awful idea. You need to get through a couple more presidents before you realize that is an awful direction. Keep the government out of games. No thank you. If you want to petition a studio to then have that game released as a live service game with private servers on the outside, you go right ahead. You get the government involved, I am not on your side. I am not on your side even a little bit. Government can stay the hell out of games. Yeah, I told you before, I'm not a fan of the government. There's a reason for that. Keep them out of games. Stay out of games. No. They can't manage. They've never been able to manage. I don't want them in games. You don't want them in games.
This isn't the type of attitude you display when you want to have a conversation or want to learn more or really understand. One of the many problems with Jason's messaging is that he'll make a claim such as the government being part of games is terrifying, but he doesn't explain why. Not only does he not make an explanation as to why this is terrifying or why this is a bad thing, but he makes it as if you are stupid if you don't understand why, and also doesn't make any sort of counter solution. In reality, when you don't have any clear regulation or compliance, corporations will default to the cheapest thing that will save them the most money. They don't care about consumer rights. He also makes the claim that this is going to waste a bunch of lawmakers' time. The thing is, lawmakers are supposed to spend their time working on laws that protect our rights. That is literally their job. And they've done this before with our digital rights, such as with the GDPR, which I already explained. Also with COPPA, which protects the rights of minors under the age of 13. The CVAA, which protects the rights of the disabled by enforcing subtitles and UI access. And the ADA, which enforces digital accessibility. There are developers who are in support of Jason, saying that this will be difficult or costly to implement. Yes, it can be a challenge, but it's a challenge for most games because they don't have the foresight of this and they are not designed for shutdown scenarios. If this is planned during the development, then the implementation will be much easier. There are already existing tools such as offline modes, downloadable server tools, and peer-to-peer networking. Valve has already done this with their games. Team Fortress 2 allows for offline play with bots and private servers. Even Left 4 Dead and Counter-Strike are fully offline capable. Having an end-of-life scenario plan during the development of the game makes implementation of this far easier. Again, it's about having the foresight and not doing this last second when you have to pull the plug. Stop Killing Games movement would require that developers get this all set up and planned ahead of time rather than waiting until they run out of money and decide that they want to pull the plug on the game. Because of Jason's attitude towards the Stop Killing Games initiative, a lot of his fans have felt betrayed by him. Jason's game Heartbound has been review bombed recently. Steam ratings have dropped to overwhelmingly negative, but review bombing is not going to change his mind and is not going to get the movement to succeed. The review bombing on his game, as well as the personal attacks on his character, all this will just make him double down. And this is why we shouldn't make it a personal attack crusade and stay focused on the cause instead. The shift of attacking his character rather than the points that he made is actually a distraction from the cause itself. I've personally gotten these type of comments as well. Rather than countering the points that I've made, they'll say things like, oh, you were just an administrative assistant while you're working at Treyarch. The people who make these type of points never say that my points are wrong. It's a deflection tactic. And when we focus on the deflection and focus on attacking the character, then we're no longer focusing on what is important, which is the consumer rights. And this is why I want to discourage other people from doing this. We could focus on why this is important. We could focus on what he said was incorrect about this movement. I want to discourage as many people as possible from making personal attacks on him because none of these things actually matter. whether he actually was a Nepo baby or not when it comes to his job at Blizzard, or any of the drama he had in the MMORPGs he played, or whether he was deceptive and looked up how to solve a puzzle and then solved the puzzle while live streaming a game and then made it out as if he figured out the puzzle on his own. None of that actually matters. What matters is that we get as many voices as possible to talk about why this is important before the deadline of July 31st. I'm not delusional. I know that I have a very small voice on YouTube. And this is why it's important for us to focus on getting the larger voices to talk about this, especially the larger voices who have an EU audience. Try to reach out to those voices and get them to talk about this and get more people to sign the petition. We need 1 million people in the EU residents to sign it before July 31st. Thanks for getting this far in the video. Please like and subscribe. Take care. Salam.